Good morning. I'm Chelsea Ruby, and I have the great privilege to serve as the new secretary of the newly established West Virginia Department of Tourism. I'm thrilled to be here with you all today as we launch the nation's premier talent attraction program. You're going to hear this morning about a truly collaborative program. We've taken together state government, an institution of higher learning, and two incredible donors, Brad and Alys Smith. Brad Smith is a native of Canova, West Virginia, a graduate of Marshall University. He has reached the greatest of heights in both the business and technology worlds, and he has spent his life trying to give back to the great state of West Virginia. We are so incredibly fortunate to have Brad and Alys with us on this program. The program you're going to hear about today is really an extension of the Almost Heaven brand that we've spent the last couple of years creating. We've been really fortunate to invest in tourism advertising, and now much of the nation and the world knows about Almost Heaven, West Virginia. They think about our great state as a place you can go to visit, to escape the crowds, a place you can experience world-class outdoor recreation, and a place where you can escape it all to the mountain towns full of culture and to the friendliest people on the planet. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to take that message one step further, and we're going to invite people to take a permanent vacation in the place John Denver dubbed Almost Heaven 50 years ago. Like all of our programs, the governor was very involved with helping us set up the details of it. So early on, I remember a meeting over at the governor's mansion where we were looking at the tax structure relating to remote workers. We knew that we had to modernize our tax plan. So we had this meeting and we had laid out 3 very complicated plans. And at the end of it, we said, "Governor, which plan do you want?" He sort of laughed and looked at us and said, "The plan that will put West Virginia on top." So that's exactly what we did. The next week in his State of the State address, the governor introduced a bill or sent a bill up to the legislature that did just that. It modernized our tax structure to make us a more attractive place for companies who are looking to place remote workers. I'm thrilled that that bill passed both chambers with bipartisan support, and today we're going to witness a little bit of history as the governor signs that bill into law. But before we go on to that, I want to talk briefly about a trend that we've seen evolving here in West Virginia. I'm proud to say that our great state, little old West Virginia, has really become a national and international leader. We've had a lot of publicity over the last year as the governor has led us to national headlines about our response to COVID and our vaccine distribution. But it's not just that. West Virginia is making headlines as an innovative state. We're making headlines as we do things with NOAA, with Toyota, and of course, Virgin Hyperloop. Today, we're going to do it again as we launch the best remote worker program there is. This program is so innovative, it's going to be one of the most competitive ones in the country, and it really is going to create headlines as we once again show that little old West Virginia knows how to do things right. Ascend West Virginia will take this state to great heights, and I'm so proud to have played a small part in it. So at this point, I want to give huge thanks to our governor who has helped lead us here today, has led us to all these headlines over the last year, and will keep leading us as we move forward. So at this point, I'd like to introduce to you the governor of the great state of West Virginia, Governor Jim Justice.
Well, Secretary Ruby, and that sounds fancy, and what an incredible young lady she is. You know, Chelsea has done so much good work in tourism and lots of different things with our state. You know, she's stuck on all the time, and her enthusiasm is just unbelievable. And that's really great stuff. So now we have a new department, a new cabinet head and everything. And we have with us today in our audience our Secretary of Commerce, Ed Gaunch, who also does phenomenal work. And in addition to that, we have a new cabinet head from the standpoint of economic development in Mitch Carmichael. You see, at the end of the day, what we've really tried so hard to do is we've tried to expand job opportunity and look at all the goodness that surrounds our state with beauty, with 4 seasons beyond belief. We have expanded tourism phenomenally in the last few years. We have been the frogs that are now really truly proud of their own pond. And in all of that, now we go to another step, a step with 2 individuals, Brad and Alys. They have done so much, so much. They're incredibly bright people, but they give back too. And so in my State of the State, I very proudly announced, how we would be moving forward in a remote worker program in a spirit of bringing people to this state because people so badly want to come. That in combination with our broadband efforts will bring so many more people to West Virginia. We hope and pray at least. And so in many ways, I can never thank Brad and Alys enough for their very generous contribution. I congratulate the towns of Morgantown, Shepherdstown, and Lewisburg for being our first 3 pilot cities that will absolutely receive workers and receive this program efforts in the very beginning days. But all of us, supporting from tourism, commerce, economic development, all the great stuff that Brad and Alys are doing, with all of us all in, we all want this program to spread, do we not? Spread all across this great state. What an opportunity this great state has, and we absolutely need to go forward in every way. The last thing I would say in regard to just this is Brad and Alys embody the almost heaven spirit. They absolutely do. We could never thank them enough. I can never thank this young lady to my right, the amount of effort and enthusiasm that she gives, along with our commerce and our economic development secretaries and all the people that are just pulling the rope, along with our Senate and House that generously stepped up and said, we're all in as well. What an incredible program. It was a real honor in introducing it into the State of the State. I stand right behind that wholeheartedly. And again, I thank Brad and Alys so much. Thank you again and again. I'm going back now to Chelsea. I'm signing. That's even better. Okay. Now I want to read this to you real quick. I don't read much in the world, but I want to just read this very quickly. It says, today I am signing a bill that I propose that modernizes our corporate tax structure. Think about that. Just think about that. To allow us to attract and retain these remote workers. I'm happy that the Senate and the House of Delegates overwhelmingly passed this bill, and I am honored to sign it into law. This legislation is long overdue. Fundamental change and modernizations to our corporate tax structure, which is absolutely necessary as we continue to move West Virginia forward. It's a bold step toward making West Virginia the most attractive state in the nation. We've all known that we were the most attractive state. Now all we're doing is capitalizing on the world looking at West Virginia as that diamond in the rough that they missed. We're wanting to be the most attractive state in the nation for remote workers and for all businesses, for that matter, which is exactly at the bottom line to what we work for. And that is just this, to be that diamond that everybody's missed. And so now I'm going to sign these, and I'm going to pass them on to our great Secretary of Tourism and everything. It's right beside me. And so just bear with me just a second. I'm fumbling around here. Okay. It's with great honor, great honor, I sign this into law, and it's with absolute great appreciation that I thank Brad and Alys for all their help. I've got 3 more copies to sign, but this is the real deal. All right, thank you, Chelsea. And if y'all wouldn't have put these little stickers on there where they're getting all the pages stuck together, this would have been a little easier. Oh, I'm going to sign these with different pens. Wow. There you go, young lady. Okay, another great day for West Virginia. Thank y'all so much. And now am I passing on to somebody else? Oh, I'm passing to Brad and Alys. That's really great. All right, Brad and Alys, it's your show now. Thank you again for all you've done. You've absolutely taken us off in every way. We could never in the world, I promise you, nobody on the planet is more appreciative than I am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor Justice, for your kind words and your visionary leadership. Brad and I consider it a privilege to work with you, your talented leadership team, and all those who have leaned in to make this program possible. We have been inspired by the innovation, the agility, and the inclusiveness with which you, West Virginia University, and their team have leaned in to tackle grand challenges in support of shared strategic dreams. It is the alignment of these shared strategic dreams and goals that have led us to this moment. You know, when Brad and I started the Wing to Wing Foundation, our goal was to power possibility and level the playing field of opportunity in Appalachia through the advancement of education, entrepreneurship, and environment.
That's right, Governor and Secretary Ruby. We are so indebted to everything that you and the legislature and the team at West Virginia University, led by President Gee and Dr. Twilley and so many others, have done. And we are so excited about today's announcement and the timing of today's announcement, because we believe it represents a strategic intersection. It's an intersection where our state's most valued assets, our people and our gorgeous communities, along with these outdoor recreational assets, intersect perfectly with 4 major trends that are shaping the future around the world. The first trend is an increased focus and an investment in entrepreneurial education. And this comes at a time when 75% of those who graduate school today say they want to start their own business instead of working for someone else. And 75% of all net new jobs in local economies are created by startups and small businesses. The second major trend is an increased emphasis on design thinking and experiential learning, inspiring in our youth the desire to learn science, technology, engineering, arts, and math through hands-on experiences like the Science Adventure School or Science Behind the Sports at West Virginia University, or our simulated workplace program in grades K through 12. And if you think about it, this is important because neuroscientists have studied the cognitive learning capability of kids born after the invention of the iPhone. And they've discovered some pretty interesting facts. These young kids possess the ability to do something no other generation before them could do. It's called continuous partial attention, the ability to do multiple things simultaneously with equal skill. That's the positive. The challenge is the average attention span is now 8 seconds. 1 decade ago, it was 12 seconds. And a goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. So our educators now recognize they have to teach through both learning and doing, bringing those two things together, which is why it's so important to have these kinds of programs. The third major trend is a trend towards remote working. Now, this trend was alive and well heading into COVID when it was estimated roughly 4 million people in the United States had permission to live anywhere they wanted while doing their jobs. But coming out of COVID, that number is now estimated to be between 37 to 47% of the US workforce will be able to live and work and play in these new communities. And then the fourth major trend is a shift in geographic preference. Rural has become the new urban. Studies suggest that over 1/3 of people who live in major metropolitan markets like New York and Boston and LA and San Francisco and Chicago are actively considering moving now and relocating to a more rural community. And here we sit. Here West Virginia sits in the middle of this intersection as we cultivate this next generation of entrepreneurs who are the descendants of the great mountaineers who learned how to blaze trails instead of follow paths, the very DNA of an entrepreneur. We're surrounded by these amazing mountains and these rivers and these trails that once served as walls, but they now serve as welcome signs as rural becomes the new urban. And we are experiencing an unparalleled alignment of interests between West Virginia natives who come back and give back, between our elected officials at the federal, state, and the local level reaching across the aisle, between our educational institutions, everyone leaning in, seizing this moment and partnering together. And one of the things we're really excited about is the Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative in partnership with West Virginia University, because it has three major goals. The first is to inspire in our youth the desire to learn these entrepreneurial skills while also doing it in an outdoor environment, which also instills in them a sense of pride for the state from which they come. And hopefully this is going to reverse that brain drain that we've suffered for so many generations as young men and women decide to stay in our state. The second primary goal is to invite those who already have these skills to move to West Virginia and make it their new permanent home where they can live, work, and play through today's program, which we call Ascend West Virginia. And then the third goal is to invest in our infrastructure, preserving the natural beauty around us while making these outdoor assets more accessible, which strengthens both our economy and these local communities. And today we are announcing the premier, nation's #1 remote workforce recruitment program called Ascend West Virginia. And if people choose West Virginia as their home, they will receive $12,000 in relocation and retention incentives. They'll get a year's worth of free outdoor activities. They'll have access to state-of-the-art co-working facilities and their choice of originally the 3 host cities, which are 3 amazing mountain communities, but eventually will expand beyond those host cities. In these communities, they'll get to know our people. They'll find out why we are the kindest people on earth. They'll also get continuing education programs. And then sitting outside their walls, they will be surrounded by amazing whitewater, snow skiing, rock climbing, hiking, mountain biking in these idyllic hallmark communities at a cost of living that is 16% less expensive than the national average. And if that is not exciting enough, they'll be joining a movement. They'll be a part of this effort we call Startup West Virginia. We're exciting programs that involve Virgin Hyperloop, or the National Weather Service and the NOAA Big Data Project, or Toyota, or sustainable farming, or biomedicine, and all the other amazing things our state is doing. They can come in and actively participate. So today, as we introduce Ascend West Virginia, we have rolled out the West Virginia red carpet. If you are an adventurous spirit who wants to move to a community where you can live, work, and play, and you want to be a part of a movement that has the opportunity to change lives for generations to come, then we welcome you to submit your application and join us in Ascend West Virginia. And if they want to get a sample of what it feels like to live in a place like West Virginia, I simply ask them to sit back and watch this video. Can we roll the video, please?
It's a climb that's been started by so many. A climb taken by those who seek a life less ordinary, who long to break free from the mundane and move to a higher place, one that offers experiences simple and pure. The climb to West Virginia begins with the promise of discovery and ends in a place that feels like home the moment you arrive. There are no crowds or concrete jungles here, just rivers, mountains, and room to put down roots. Our mountain towns are home to some of America's greatest innovators, makers, and downright hard workers who have reached the peak and uncovered our greatest secret, that this is a heavenly place that gives to you more than it takes back. In West Virginia, we live and work just steps away from the landscape that inspires us and unearth new opportunities along every winding trail. Here, we work together to reach new heights and create a life worth living. Ascend, West Virginia.
The gates to almost heaven are now open, and I hope everyone will submit their application to Ascend West Virginia and join us in this next exciting chapter in the Mountain State. And with that backdrop, it is my privilege to introduce one of the most preeminent, foremost thinkers in our nation's higher education system, Dr. Gordon Gee. President Gee has led major institutions for more than 3 decades. He has been rated by Time Magazine as one of the top 10 university presidents in the United States. He was recently ranked #1 university president by a leading online education website. And the reason why is because he's a visionary that brings a unique combination of courage, compassion, and collaboration. And that makes him an incredible catalyst for change. But Alys and I are really privileged to call him our friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gordon Gee, the president of West Virginia University.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm honored that I can be with you today, and Brad and Alys are very special. Let me first of all thank our governor for visionary leadership. We've just been through a legislative session, and our governor has really outlined a future for West Virginia, for which I'm grateful. And Chelsea Ruby, young, vibrant, makes a difference each and every day. So the opportunity to work with Chelsea has been a real privilege for me, but also her leadership has made such a difference in West Virginia. My colleagues at the university, my colleagues around higher education, our colleagues at Marshall University have been such valiant soldiers. So we have much to celebrate. This is my second time living in West Virginia, I might note, and so I call myself a born again West Virginian, twice born again West Virginian, and I'm here to stay. So I am grateful for all that West Virginia has done for me. And let me just note, just as an aside, that today is the 50th, April 12th, the 50th anniversary of the release of the John Denver single, "Take Me Home, Country Roads." If you can think about that, what a day to celebrate, and what a day to really appreciate what we are doing. So, Governor, Brad and Alys, all involved, thank you so very much for this opportunity. And let me just say about Brad and Alys that they didn't need to. They didn't need to do this, but the two of them, as you heard from Alys particularly, that they are committed to not only making a difference, but making a difference in a state and at a place in which it is also in their heart and in which they believe has an immense purpose. So we're blessed with you, and I want to just say that. So we all know, of course, that West Virginia has been facing stormy economic weather for some time, and the pandemic has only darkened the horizon for many people. But by looking beyond these clouds, as we just saw in that wonderful video, we can also find opportunities, and that is what Brad talked about: to ignite our economy, to develop world-class recreational infrastructure, and expand outdoor educational programs. It takes in my estimation, it takes an especially acute vision to unveil those opportunities. And we're fortunate to have people who have been laser focused on the innovative solutions that lurk among all of our problems. No one fits that description better than Brad. You just heard him. Recently, he turned his gaze on his home and his state and saw great potential for growth in our post-pandemic next normal, as we like to call it, which will include more remote workers than ever before. For those workers, West Virginia offers a breath of fresh air with less crowds and traffic, plus a better quality of life. Brad and Alys believe in West Virginia's appeal so strongly that the two of them donated $25 million to create the Brad and Alys Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative at West Virginia University. Now, we are fortunate that Governor Justice shares that vision and has charged his tourism and economic development departments to help lead state efforts. Ascend West Virginia, as we're calling it, which I love the name, by the way, will leverage West Virginia's outdoor assets to bring fresh talent to this beautiful place on earth. I firmly believe that this program aligns perfectly with our university's land grant mission. Ascend West Virginia joins initiatives such as Virgin Hyperloop, Vantage Ventures, and FinTech Sandbox that reflect the entrepreneurial-led approach our university has taken to drive economic development. We are embracing innovation and engaging with those whose eyes are cast to the future. So Ascend West Virginia will lure people from all corners of the globe to discover our state. And by embracing our assets, we will see afresh the breathtaking vistas that have been before us all along. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Danny Twilley, Assistant Dean of the Brad and Alys Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative. Dr. Twilley joined us, about a year ago now, and has been just a great partner in this whole effort. And Danny, I'm going to ask you to share more details about the Ascend West Virginia program and the role of the university in this exciting endeavor.
Well, I appreciate it, President Gee, Brad and Alys, Governor Justice, and Secretary Ruby. I am beyond honored to share with you all the package that we put together. And really, the design of this package is to ease the transition for our new West Virginia and growing West Virginia family, but then also put in some programs in place to welcome you here, to create community for you. So you'll never, ever want to leave Almost Heaven. And so we have a relocation package valued at almost more than $20,000. When you take a look at some of the details of this package, we're going to ease the transition by offering $12,000 cash incentives. $10,000 of that will be paid in monthly installments over the first year, with $2,000 at the end of the second year. One of the most exciting things, so that's going to help you get here, help you kind of start exploring, start buying some of that new outdoor equipment that you'll need to play in your backyard. But one of the exciting things that we've done is we have over 20 outfitters from across the state that are offering free outdoor recreation. And really what this means is that we're going to have them free whitewater rafting, free hunting and fishing license, access to places like the Hatfield and McCoy trails. So once you're here and you get settled, now you can go out and explore this beautiful state. In addition, we're going to have free co-working space in the heart of our communities, so you can connect with the people. You can go to the local coffee shops. You can go play on your lunch break after work. And this is going to be our community center, where you're going to connect with your other Ascend West Virginia members and start building this network of friendship and community and engaging, what makes West Virginians so special. After that, we're also going to have some free outdoor gear rentals. So that way you can, maybe you've always wanted to learn a new activity. So let's partner with someone who knows it, grab some of that equipment and go make new friends, go explore your backyard. We'll also be doing free or exclusive excursions. So family bike rides, maybe trips on the weekend with some of your newfound friends. In addition, we're going to be offering networking and community-related events so we can incorporate you as Ascend West Virginia members into your communities to become part of the fabric that is West Virginia. And then on top of that, we will offer a remote worker certification program through the John Chambers College of Business. And really what this is continuing education, right? This is fulfilling what we hold so dear at West Virginia University, is this idea of continuing to grow as individuals and professionals. And then we're also offering the WVU entrepreneurial ecosystem that is continuing with what Brad had talked about earlier, is this startup state, this idea of come here and make your dreams come true. Because by the way, we are almost heaven. I'm going to pass it back off to Governor Justice.
Well, let me just wrap up here as quickly as I possibly can. You know, whether it be Secretary Ruby or Secretary Gaunch or Secretary, Carmichael, or, all those down here from the standpoint of the government, I can speak absolutely just this way and speak to you from my heart. Things are really happening in West Virginia now. And as things are really happening, whether it be, the great assistance and help, that Brad and Alys have come up with an idea, with a concept, with an incredible donation, and with all the help and assistance of WVU, our great president, Gordon Gee, who is such an incredible friend, whether it be Gordon or Danny or Brad and Alys or Chelsea or whomever it may be, I can never thank you enough. You see, when I got here, things probably weren't as bright as what we would have all wished. But as we've been here, we've put in licks to make changes and make things really start to happen in West Virginia. There's so much more that we can do. But one of the very things we did was we put a stake in the sand that we were proud of ourselves and our heritage. Now, I'd end this thing by just saying just this. As far as this entire program, as far as the potential, it's unbelievable, especially today in we hope in an ex-COVID situation. But absolutely, the potential is unreal as to what we can do. But lastly, I would just say just this. Way back in running in a primary before I was ever elected, I truly believe that the good ideas that come to me come from the good Lord. And I'll probably take credit for all the bad ones, I will. But absolutely, I believe, and I said at that primary in a debate, and the idea just came really at that time. I said, where could there be a place? Where could there be a place that has 4 of the most beautiful seasons beyond belief? Where could there be a place that was located within 600 miles of 2/3 of the population of this country? Where could there be a place that abounded in natural resources, and that was coal, oil, gas, water, timber, all of the things that we think are tangible, but the things that are still right at our fingertips, were our people. Where could there be a place that had people that were good people, that were loving people, that were appreciative people, that were people that absolutely was the fabric of America, and maybe in America years and years ago? Of peoples that knew the difference between right and wrong. Of people that just weren't living their life to see what they could get by with. And now with this program, we're bringing people from around the world that absolutely are tired, maybe, exhausted with the people that they are surrounded around. A people that could come here and work and really touch what life is really all about: beauty and goodness and truth and love, instead of all the other things that are troubling them in many ways. Absolutely, without any doubt in my mind, I can't see how anybody could not choose West Virginia. So Brad and Alys, I love you with all my soul, and I mean that very sincerely. You know, from the standpoint of Gordon and Danny and Chelsea and Ed and all those that are making a lick toward this, I can never thank you enough. But Brad and Alys, it doesn't happen without you. Thank you again and again. God bless.
Good morning, and thank you for joining the Ascend West Virginia Media Roundtable. We've got a lot of folks on the line today and a lot of folks with us, so we're going to jump right in. What we're going to do to get started is have 30-second to 1-minute introductions from the whole team. So I'm going to start out first with Governor Justice.
Well, Secretary Ruby, I'm going to introduce you back and everything. You didn't tell them who you were. This is Secretary Chelsea Ruby, and she is absolutely just marvelous. She's doing an incredible job here and everything. I'm Governor Jim Justice, and delighted to be with you today. And we'll be taking your questions, and we'll be telling you in every way that you're very, very, very foolish if you're not looking at West Virginia, because we're doing a lot of great stuff here, and this just adds on to the top of it and everything. We've got great people with us, and again, we thank Brad and Alys Smith for all they're doing and everything. So anyway, I'll pass on now to, I guess I'm passing back to Chelsea, and you're going to continue to introduce.
All right, next up, we've got the founders of Ascend West Virginia, Brad and Alys Smith.
Hi, I'm Alys Smith, and I'm part of our team. And we are thrilled to be such supporters of the state and of this program. And we're just so happy that you're all here and interested to learn more.
And I'm Brad from Canova, West Virginia and Wayne County, and I'm the water boy on our team. And I'm privileged to share the opportunity here with my wife, Alys.
Thank you. Next up, we've got West Virginia University President, Dr. Gordon Gee.
Hi, I am Gordon Gee, and I am president of West Virginia University, which is the state's land-grant research university. And we are grateful that the university can be involved with Governor Justice, with Secretary Ruby, and their whole team in developing this remote worker program.
Next up is Dr. Danny Twilley of WVU's OEDC.
Hi, my name is Dr. Danny Twilley. I am the Assistant Dean for the Brad and Alys Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative.
All right. And Secretary Ed Gaunch.
I'm Ed Gaunch. I'm the Commerce Secretary for the state of West Virginia. What a great privilege it's been for me to participate in this project. We're just so blessed to have ambassadors like the Smiths, to have a future-thinking governor like we have, an energetic Secretary of Tourism like Chelsea, a partner like Mitch Carmichael. This has been a wonderful collaboration. Our friends at WVU, the private sector, it's just been great to participate in this project.
All right, next up, our new Secretary for the Department of Economic Development, Mitch Carmichael.
Well, thank you, Chelsea. I am Mitch Carmichael, Secretary for Economic Development in West Virginia, and very pleased to be a part of this with Alisa and Brad. Thank you so much for your contribution, for Governor, for your leadership on this issue. This is a facet of the economic resurgence in West Virginia, and that people can look to locate in our wonderful state as we expand broadband, as we expand remote work opportunities, and energize this state with new jobs, new growth, and new opportunities for our citizens. And thank you. It's a thrill to be part of this.
All right, next up, we've got Dr. Javier Reyes with WVU's Business School.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Javier Reyes. I'm the Dean of the Chambers College of Business, but I'm also the Vice President for Startup West Virginia. And in that role, I play the role of connecting the resources from West Virginia University to those needs in the community for pushing for innovation, pushing for economic development. And this is one of the examples, working with Dr. Twilley and the Outdoor Economic Collaborative at WVU to be able to push for the next generation of workers to come to West Virginia. It is with great pleasure to participate and engage, and anything that relates to innovation, economic development, and startup movement. This is what we get to do here in my job as startup in West Virginia.
Thank you. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we are going to introduce folks from the first three communities who will be participating in the program. So first up, from Morgantown, which again is the first city that will start accepting applications today, we've got Russ Rogerson, who is the president of the Morgantown Area Partnership.
Thank you, and hi, Russ Rogerson here from Morgantown, West Virginia. Very excited about this program, very excited about the collaboration and cooperation amongst multiple entities, and of course, kicked off by Brad and Alys, their gift is huge. So Morgantown is a home of West Virginia University and many other attributes, and we look forward to getting this program started and to benefit the entire state of West Virginia moving forward.
Thanks, Russ. All right, now we are going to head over to Lewisburg to Kara Dentz, who is the director of the Greater Greenbrier Valley CVB.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Good morning, everyone. I'm a Greenbrier County native who was lucky enough to be able to move back to West Virginia 14 years ago to promote this beautiful Greenbrier Valley and the coolest small town in America of Lewisburg, who was chosen to be one of the first cities. And I can't tell you how happy we are, how proud we are. And thank you to everyone, to Governor Justice, to Chelsea, and of course, especially to Brad and Alys for your sponsorship of this program. We're so excited. We've known for a long time that Lewisburg has so many attributes that make it a wonderful place to live. And now we're excited to be able to promote that to the world. So thank you so much.
All right, and last but certainly not least is Annette Gavin Bates, who is with the Jefferson County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, hi, everyone. I have to also say a big shout out to Brad and Alys. Thank you so much for this opportunity, to the governor, to Chelsea, to everyone involved. I'm proud to be a part of these first 3 towns that were picked for this initiative. You know, Shepherdstown is the oldest town in the state, but we feel like just because we're the oldest town, we have a fresh vibe. We've been chosen as this cool small town, attributes constantly throughout our county, and we've been welcoming visitors with the highest visitor spend in the state in this county. We've been welcoming visitors, and every time they come, they want to come back. And a lot of things that they talk about is what it would be like to live here because the quality of life is so great. So we're just really, really thrilled to have Shepherdstown. We believe it's a unique, eclectic, wonderful small town, and we're thrilled to showcase it in this project. And we just, again, thank you to everyone involved for picking us. So we promise our ambassadors will be out there rolling out the red carpet for our remote workers. Thank you.
Thank you all. And like I said at the beginning of today, this has truly been a terrific collaboration. We've got the governor, we've got Brad and Alys, we've got different folks here at state government, we've got local leaders, higher education, but together we are so excited to officially launch Ascend West Virginia. So I know you all have a lot of questions. I'm going to kick it back to Jordan, and we will start taking questions from the media.
Thank you, Chelsea. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Kaya Hubbard with U.S. News and World Report.
Hi there. Sorry, just to clarify, I was wondering if participants have a choice of which city they're starting in, or if it's just Morgantown at this point.
Sure. Dr. Twilley, do you want to explain how the program will work in timelines?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start off, Morgantown will be the first location that will be accepting applications. As of 10:01 today, the application is live. And then as we begin working with both Kara and Annette for Lewisburg and Shepherdstown, as we get ready and get them online, we'll be opening up applications sometime later this year to welcome applicants for those locations.
All right, thank you, Kaya. Next, we'll go to Don Smith with the West Virginia Press Association.
Yes, thank you. I'm interested in the remote worker area that will be developed in the cities, like in Morgantown. So when we get people into the state, that they can be successful in doing their job. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure, if I can, I'd like to kick this one over to Brad to talk a little bit about your vision and what will happen in these spaces and how folks will build connections.
Happy to do that, Secretary Ruby. And Don, thank you for the question. It starts by understanding that we have studied those who've tried programs like this in the past, and we've learned the things that made them successful and the things to watch out for. And there were 5 buckets of areas that we knew were important in communities. The first is what we called essential services, which was affordable housing and broadband connectivity. The second big major area was vibrancy of the community, and that included a diversity of restaurants and recreational activities, as well as the welcoming and the inclusiveness of the community. And then the third was access to outdoor recreational activities. And the neat thing about these three host cities and many others that will come in the state is they had all of these qualities about them, which makes them a really attractive opportunity for a remote worker. What we're going to do to capitalize on that is we're going to implement a co-working facility. And that co-working facility will give these individuals from different companies the chance to sit next to each other once that's now allowed to do coming out of the pandemic. And they'll have the opportunity to form new friendships and relationships. And we'll be facilitating community efforts where they'll go out and experience the state together. But we'll also give them access to free rental equipment so they can go out and enjoy some of these outdoor activities. If you study those who've done this before us, many times what happens is these friendships turn into partnerships, and many times they start their own businesses. And we call this a flywheel effect, which was bring people into the state. They become a part of the community. They say, wow, there's opportunities to start things here. And then what also happens is more and more of their fellow employees want to move to the state. And eventually the companies say, why do all my employees want to live in West Virginia? Maybe we should open an office there. And it creates this virtuous cycle that continues to build on itself. That's our vision. And that's why we're excited about these three first host communities that we're going to be starting the program with.
All right, thank you, Don. Next to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Secretary Ruby, could you talk a little bit about the plans to advertise this program and get the word out? Are you guys going to roll out something similar to the Almost Heaven campaign that we've done for tourism in general? Thank you.
Sure, yes, we are. So all of this will coordinate in with the Almost Heaven marketing efforts that are already going on. So we're going to be targeting these folks in a number of different ways. First, we're going to be looking towards people who work for companies who have remote work policies, people who will permanently be able to remote work. But then the second thing we're going to do is layer it on with markets where we've been advertising this Almost Heaven messaging. So the ads will be very similar with the photography style. Everything will all blend together, and we'll be running them in tandem. But absolutely, it'll be similar to Almost Heaven, and it'll be that same messaging that we found so successful in the past.
Thank you, Charles. Next to Duncan Slade with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hi, my question is, I believe for Brad, but I was wondering, when you were looking at other programs in other states, what programs were you looking at that, were similar to this, and what lessons did you learn from those programs?
Yes, thank you, Duncan. So there were programs like Tulsa Remote, and it was founded by the George Kaiser Family Foundation. You have Bentonville, which is the home to Walmart, and the Walton family has supported it. You have a program in Vermont. You have one in Shoals, Alabama called Remote Shoals. There's the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. There's a program in Hawaii, and the list goes on. And what we've done is we've reached out to them, and they've been incredibly open and willing to share. And they've talked about the best practices, the things they learned that worked, the things that didn't work. And we took our time to apply the old West Virginia carpenter's rule. We measured twice and cut once. And we wanted to make sure we had all the best practices that we knew would tip the odds of success in our favor. But then the one benefit we have that no other state has, by their own admission, is we have amazing whitewater rapids. We have gorgeous snow ski slopes. We also have these incredible rivers and mountains and valleys and mountain biking and things that, quite frankly, heaven gave us that they can't replicate. And so we think we've taken the time to make sure the program elements are in place, but we also have these amazing assets and these incredible people in these communities that I think tips the odds in our favor.
All right, thank you. We have time for a follow-up. Don Smith with West Virginia Press Association. Do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, thank you very much. In the increase in the opportunity now, it's clear that COVID, where there was no blessings, has increased the interest in remote working and in outdoor activity and moving to West Virginia. But this program clearly was developed before just this. Brad or Chelsea, Secretary Gaunch, can you tell us a little bit when this started and how we got to where we are now? What was the seed for this program?
So if I can, I'd like a couple people to answer this. So Governor, I'm going to go to you first to talk about those early discussions, and then we'll kick it over to Brad and Alys.
Well, and if it's Dawn, is that correct? Dawn, I can tell you that when all these discussions started, you know, the enthusiasm around all the effort was just simply this. West Virginia has so much to offer, it's unbelievable. And all we've got to do is market ourselves. And then we had mega cannonballs hit us, did we not, with the COVID situation. And as we moved forward through that, we saw that there is more and more and more of a spotlight on us for the very things that we already know that we have. And so with that, we've just now started to compound the goodness and the opportunity right here in this great state. So what a collaborative effort by a lot of great people. I mean, really and truly, you got people that surround me each and every day, you know, with now Brad and Alys and the universities and all the great folks that are driving real opportunity to West Virginia.
And Secretary Ruby, I'll build on that by saying it's an unparalleled alignment of interests. When you have Governor Justice and Secretary Ruby and so many others that recognize the pride we have in our state and the amazing assets, and quite frankly, a place that people would want to come and visit. And they started that effort with this incredible tourism campaign. And then you have West Virginia University, who had formed an outdoor economic development collaborative, and we're already doing things to help middle school kids and others experience the beauty that surrounds us while also using that as a way to educate. And then we had come across remote worker opportunities as a part of efforts we were doing. And we all came together and said, how do we put these pieces together? And we did start before COVID. And as you suggested, many times market disruptions like COVID or the Great Recession in 2008, 2009 accelerate trends that are already in the market by 3 to 5 years. And so this remote worker program was already well underway, but with the pandemic, people experienced it firsthand around the world, and companies found out they could actually be productive, and employees found out they could live better lives. So coming out, it's going to be even faster adoption. And it was all three of those groups and many others that it's just too many to mention that came together. And that's a very unique West Virginia attribute. In a lot of other places that I had the chance to experience around the world, there's a lot of division. But in West Virginia, people leaned in and said, let's all figure out how we can do this together. And I think today is an example of that.
Thank you. Anything from our secretaries of the Department of Commerce or Economic Development on that one?
Well, I would just say Brad's exactly right. This effort did start more than a year ago, well before COVID, but the stars kind of aligned themselves. And I can remember back when Governor Justice took office initially, talking about West Virginia as a great place to live, work, and play. And we've tried to build around that vision for the last, 6 years? 5 years. So,
sure seems like or 10 or whatever.
Yeah, but it's been part of that vision since the beginning.
And I'll just add that, yes, the trend towards remote work has been accelerating. It's people have been aware of it. But it was also very important, the bill that the governor introduced this year, to incorporate our tax structure such that it facilitates the advent of remote working, and the opportunities can then expand and exponentially. So appreciate the leadership on introducing that bill and making sure that it got through the legislative process. And now that West Virginia's truly, there are many other advantages to working remotely in West Virginia, but the tax structure now is also in place to facilitate that. So appreciate all the efforts.
Great, thank you, Don. Duncan Slade, do you have any final follow-up questions for the panel?
I had one last question. I'm not sure who the right person is, but why were these 3 cities chosen as the first 3 cities for this program?
And I'll send that one over to Dr. Twilley or Brad and Alys.
I'll start us off. We really went into this trying to pick a location for everyone. So when you take a look at what these communities bring to the table, you've got Morgantown that has WVU, a larger community with a vibrant college town feel. You go to Lewisburg and you take a look at, they've got a great art scene, this beautiful kind of Main Street-esque, and these beautiful mountains surrounding it. And you throw in the outdoor recreation. It's as we call it, it's like a Hallmark type feeling. And then you take a look at what they have in Shepherdstown, and you've got a smaller, university, but very vibrant, brings a lot of great character. It's an older community, the first community in West Virginia on the beautiful river. And so we really feel like what we've done is we've created an opportunity where we've geographically dispersed. We also have different sizes as well, and you have a different opportunity. So you kind of almost get to pick the type of location that you want to live. And when you look at even going back to the geographic piece of it as well, it allows you to get to different major metropolitan areas if that's part of your work needs as well. In addition, we also went through an evaluation process in which we knew that they had the essential characteristics of housing and broadband. They had some community vibrancy as part of that. They had great livability metrics as well. And then they had economic factors. And then on top of that, they had access to the outdoor recreation, because we want to create something different where you can work, live, and play, where during your lunch break, you can go out and kind of relieve the stress. After work, on the weekends, you get to engage in the recreational opportunities where historically maybe you've had to spend your vacation time or travel. So we're kind of combining that idea where you can play here, you can live here, and you can work here. So that's why those communities were chosen to start us off.
And if I could just add to Dr. Twilley's incredible answer, in addition to that, this team's had a vision from day one that it would be 55 counties strong. Not everyone can be a host city because of those characteristics that Dr. Twilley went through. But Secretary Ruby and Secretary Gaunch and Secretary Carmichael and the governor and others said, we've got to find a way to benefit all the communities. So we've developed a community readiness playbook. And we have a team of people associated with this program that will work with local mayors and economic development groups to say, how can we help you get ready or to continue to build on what you already have so you can benefit from this in the next set of rollouts as well. So everyone in the state's going to win in this scenario. It's just a matter of when you'll be ready and then what part you'll play in the program.
All right, thank you. All right, so for those who are looking for more information on the program and those of you who are ready to apply, you can go to ascendwv.com. And with that, I want to offer a huge thanks to all of our partners, all of our local community partners, and everyone on the line today. And Governor, I'll kick it back to you for final remarks.
Well, Chelsea and, Ed and Mitch and all those, whether it be President Gee or the folks at Marshall or wherever it may be, we all owe a debt of gratitude beyond belief to Brad and Alys. And we thank them so much. This is another springboard in West Virginia, and it is absolutely very significant. Just step back and watch what's going to happen. All I can say is just step back and watch how great the diamond in the rough is going to continue to be exposed to the world. So as we awaken to our campaign that we've had in the past, Almost Heaven, and Almost Heaven, you've got to ascend, do you not, to get to Almost Heaven. So we're now on our way to ascending to Almost Heaven. So Brad and Alys, thank you so much, and God bless everybody. Thank y'all.